Now, into the ticket office of Disneyland.
Oh boy, let's do this.
Don't think the CIA is going to be trying to hack your second-gen iPod.
I didn't think so. There might have been a lot of illegal music on there. I wouldn't doubt it. But, I mean,
You were supposed to bring death to the flagships, not join them.
that's a pill with two screens and it's open and you gotta swallow it.
iTunes is a constant source of embarrassment.
Behind-the-scenes camera crap.
Here, tell us about courage, Phil. Tell us about courage.
I am Nadella. I can't do it anymore without laughing. I was going to do the whole thing. Welcome, everyone, to the Calling All Platforms podcast. I am your host, Wes, and I am here, ladies and gentlemen, with our very own. If we had a comparative thing, let's say George Lucas's lights and sound, his company, our very own podcast engineer, Landon.
Hi. That's me, I guess.
Come on, I'm giving a pretty good introduction here.
Yeah, it's me.
I mean, with all the stuff that you do to make me sound at least somewhat terrible. Not totally terrible, but only somewhat.
You know,
It takes that type of...
The problem is I can't make you sound really good because you're the one saying the words.
Exactly. And I'm saying it takes a lot to make it only somewhat terrible and not fully. And it takes someone that's just like that company. See, it's all compliments here. And now you're just ruining the whole thing. Just take the compliment. Yeah, there it is. There it is. And if we had our own Steve Jobs, man, compare it right here to Mr. Caleb here. Spenlove is here with us as well.
I don't have nearly enough turtlenecks to be Steve Jobs.
Hey, but you can make it happen.
I mean, yes.
Follow your dreams, buddy.
Go buy a bunch of turtlenecks, and you can be Steve Jobs too.
Yeah. I wanted to spice it up just a little bit, throw you guys off, and I think I did. I really think I accomplished this.
Yeah.
No, I'd say that worked.
Yep.
Yeah, it was good. You should have seen the faces, dear listener, because there was a lot of confusion, and they were like, what is he doing right now? Stop.
I mean,
Well,
that's fairly common when we're recording, to be fair.
Oh,
So,
yeah, to be fair, tell me to stop.
And listener, if you would like to see those expressions, you can go support us on patreon.com, and then you get to see this as a live stream every Sunday night.
True.
yeah.
This is true. It's pretty fun. You get to see a lot of that and just a whole lot more eye rolls whenever I do a joke.
So many eye rolls.
You could probably make a sweet GIF out of it and it'd go viral. So, just like, oh, he's talking again, making jokes and not, being a good host. Anyway, we're here to talk all things tech on this tech podcast, right, guys?
Yes,
Mhm.
that's
Not
what
how
we're
amazing
doing.
of a podcast engineer Landon is, because you can just hear it.
There it is.
I'll take that.
There it is. See? Good. Progress. All right. Speaking of progress, guys, so I don't know if another company or another, say, Google or Apple do this, but Microsoft, did you know they're starting to test a photo stories in OneDrive? Did you know that? So what does this photo stories do? So basically, it's just bringing all your memories into a private invitation-only feed that you can share with your friends and family. And it supports comments and things like that. So, for example, say you decide, let's say Landon here. He likes to take vacations. He goes to exotic places, things with lots of water. Who knows? He's out there and he's like, I'm going to go ahead and start taking pictures. And I'm going to load it up into this OneDrive folder. And I'm going to send an invite out to, say, the Calling All Platforms people, right?
Yeah.
So when he takes that photo and it uploads to this, and if, say, I have on my background, I'm like, I want all the photos from here to be on my background on my phone, those photos would instantly go right there. And I could comment if I wanted to, instantly.
Are you saying you want us to take more pictures of you? Is that...
No,
what you're
that's not
saying?
what I'm saying. I'm saying this is what you can do. I'm trying to give an example of what this is.
Got it.
I think it's pretty cool. Say you have like a folder in OneDrive that, say, family, and you get a get together. Everyone's taking pictures. Everyone can upload to this folder, and then you all have access to those pictures. I thought it was pretty cool. Or if you have, I know a lot of more people have, say, like, you can upload stuff on your TV pictures that way. You can actually have this sync to your TV and it just plays. Or some pictures will picture frames that can be uploaded from Wi-Fi and things like that. You can upload it that way. So it's just a cool little thing. I thought was cool. And I'm assuming this is because Microsoft is usually 2 steps behind everybody. I assume this is already a feature in, let's say, like Google or Apple in there. And so that's why I'm like, hey, this is pretty cool. And I'm excited because this is the first time I'm hearing about it because, man, I pay attention to only Microsoft, right? So
well, that is why you're here.
That is why I'm here. Well,
I mean,
I'm trying to be more upbeat here. Come on, guys.
It's kind of a combination of 2 features that Apple has in Photos. They have the memories feature, and then their like automatic family album thing that they are that they're adding in the next version of iOS. It feels like it's a bit of a combination of those 2 things. I will say the one thing that actually is interesting about this is that it's not a part of like a dedicated photo experience or photo service. It's just OneDrive. You just have a folder, you put the photos in there, and away you go. That's unique. That's not how Apple does it, at least. I don't know if Google Drive and Google Photos are intricately tied together, so I'm not sure.
I'm not 100%.
Google
I
does
don't
that,
use those, but I do use OneDrive, and I think this is pretty cool. And I know a lot of my family actually use OneDrive, some of them, so it's like, this is pretty cool. I thought this was a neat feature. Now it is in a testing phase. They're going to start kind of testing it, rolling out, because the big thing that they're talking about is privacy, and they're going to be talking more about trying to keep certain things private and whatnot. But like I said, on here it says the OneDrive photo stories are launching in public preview, and it's going to be in Australia first. They're going to test it out in there, but then they'll start rolling it out to other regions, as well as the US, obviously. It says it is currently available on the OneDrive mobile app and the web through like work accounts and school accounts. They're not supported yet on those accounts. So
okay,
just so you know. But I thought it was kind of a cool thing. I mean, some people that really are into the pictures and photos, especially say family events, someone can or start hosting something like this. People can upload to the files, get files that way. I thought it was pretty cool, and allows you, if you what would be the word, say stream those photos to a device or something in your home, then those will be there almost instantly. So I thought it was a pretty cool device. I don't know. I don't use a lot of other social media features or others, so I didn't know if this was a feature that's already out there that Microsoft's like, that is a cool idea, we should do it too. So
I mean, it's their take on other features that other people have done, but it's unique. So, you know, we'll give them props for that. Credit, Microsoft. You get some.
Yeah. Oh, wait. We have that recording. Wait, are you recording? We need. He just complimented Microsoft.
I'm giving Microsoft some credit.
Holy
That's
cow.
what I said.
Wow, I just never. After 5+ years.
Oh, come
never
now.
Thought
I occasionally give them credit for some things. Sometimes
he gives them credit a lot when it comes to gaming stuff.
I'm trying. That's true. Xbox.
This is true. Okay,
I like Xbox. They're good.
You got me there. I'm just teasing. My goodness, guys. All right. Well, that's really kind of all the news that I have that's on Microsoft. I do have like a little bit of gaming news I'll talk about. But Windows 11, that's still pushing forward on that note.
Is it?
They're still making lots of money. You know, sweet. Awesome. All right. Well, let's go ahead and let's move on. Let's go ahead and let's take our time. Let's have Landon, our very own Lights and Sounds podcast engineer. Why don't you go ahead and take it over, buddy?
Lights?
That's what I
Lights
was
and sound.
Is that a part of podcast engineering?
No. That's the whole... Come on.
Look, just because it's industrial light and sound for like
Guess I should have said
LucasArts doesn't
industrial
mean
lights and sound. My bad. Hey, you could reverse that, right? You just cut that off and just say, "Hey, restart it." You know, yeah.
Nope.
He won't, but he
No,
could.
he won't.
No, anything.
Dude, you know what you should do? You should go. We should go through and find all the bloopers that we have and just make a whole episode out of the bloopers. You know what I'm saying?
That's like every episode, isn't it?
Exactly. You just cut a few off there.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Yep.
Probably.
If you want to go through and find all of them, timestamp everything, then I'll go and cut them out.
This could be fun. All right. Hey, we're here to talk things tech. All right, Landon, enough of your stories. Why don't you go ahead and talk about what you want to talk about?
Well, you are the one talking stories in OneDrive, so I'm going to move on to a physical device.
Ooh, that was a good one.
Yes.
Props to you.
Sometimes I'm good at transitions. I want to talk about Wes's new phone. Well, his next phone. And I say that because I've said that about every version of this phone, and yet he has not bought one.
And none of us understand why.
Is it the ROG?
It is the ROG Phone 6 Pro, because they needed another word to describe this phone.
I need a new phone to play Diablo Immortal on, so...
Yes.
Right?
This one will do it really well.
I can understand not getting a gaming-specific phone in the past, but as time goes on, and there's more and more ways to stream these actually good AAA games on phones or on any device for that matter, these phones are becoming more, for lack of a better term, needed for some people.
Interesting.
And this phone is, I mean, it should be because it's the newest one, but it is by far the best version of a gaming phone that has come out yet, in my opinion. So like I said, it's the Asus ROG Phone 6 Pro, because words.
Everything's a Pro or an X, so...
I mean,
seriously.
that is the modern vernacular everyone is using at the moment when it comes to phones, so I get it. But the problem is there's not just a Phone 6, there's just a Phone 6 Pro. So why do we need a Pro if there's not a regular version? I don't know.
Well, there's going to be a regular version, right? Like I thought like they're announcing the high-end one and then there's going to be a not high-end one later, right? Wasn't that?
I don't know. Maybe.
It was kind of unclear.
It's Asus. They are unclear when it comes to phone stuff in general.
This is true.
Anyways, let's go on with this phone. Now, it is actually a pretty cool looking phone. It definitely has that gaming aesthetic that we're used to with the ROG phones. And it's very similar to the 5 where it's got that secondary display on the back. This one is a little bit bigger in the sense that it's more stretched out. It's longer. It covers more of the back of the phone. It's not necessarily like taller. Well, I guess it depends on how you're holding it. It doesn't go the width of the phone anymore. It goes the length of the phone more.
Yeah.
And it's centered in the phone, like centered on the, if you're looking at the back of the phone with the cameras on top, it is on the right-hand side of the phone. But if you're holding it in landscape like you would if you're gaming on it,
like you're supposed to,
then it is on the top back of the phone. And that secondary display is used for the same purpose as it was on the 5, basically for aesthetic reasons. You can customize little things on it, I think, for notifications and whatnot. And also while you're gaming, it can do different things, I suppose. I don't know. It can change colors depending on what you're playing, maybe. I'm not sure. But it is somewhat customizable in that regard.
Wow, it is pretty though. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it is a pretty good looking phone, and I'm trying to remember if they have multiple colors. I think it's just white, but the white is really good looking on this phone.
It's real nice.
Yeah.
So I just want to go over some specs on this device. It has a 6.78 inch display, which is also 165 hertz display.
165 on a phone.
It is
absolutely insane. And it's up to 1200 nits peak brightness, which is also pretty dang good.
It's very bright. Yeah.
The reviews I've been seeing on this phone, even like a lot of people are not going to notice a difference between 120 hertz and 165 hertz, especially on a phone. But the reviews that I have seen is people are saying this is by far the smoothest phone they've ever used, at least in the way it looks, the smoothest they've ever used. And the videos that I've seen do show that.
And like the responsiveness of it too when you're using it, because in addition to having 165 hertz refresh rate, the screen also, like the touch layer, has a 700 hertz plus, it might even be more than that, touch sampling rate, which means that 700 times a second it's sampling where your finger is on the display such that it can respond to it. And yeah, like everything I have seen of this, like I use iPhones. iPhones tend to be very smooth. Like they're very smooth and responsive. They've always stood out in that regard. But this thing makes them look kind of pedestrian. So
yeah, so that back screen you were talking about. So depending on what you're doing, it will change. So for example, obviously screen on has its own, charging has its own thing. It'll happen. X mode, playing a game, external accessories, an incoming call. Like it has all these preloaded things I'm looking at. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool phone. Going on with some of the specs, it does come with the newest Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 processor. Because again, naming is fun, especially from Qualcomm. They're all over that.
Seriously.
It has 512 gigs of storage, 18 gigs of RAM, which in a phone, let me repeat
Hold
that.
on.
18 gigs of RAM in a phone.
Oh my
freaking
goodness.
Gaming PC doesn't have that.
I was just about to say, I'm looking at my PC right now. I can't remember if I've got 16 or 32. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I've got 16.
Do you?
Just, it's sad. I don't know what I'm doing with myself. Only 16 gigs of RAM.
Oh my
the heck?
goodness.
I need to upgrade my PC.
Yeah, it's crazy.
To be fair, my computer did cost quite a bit less than this phone.
That is, yes, that is fair. That is fair. Camera wise, it has a triple camera setup. It's got a 50 megapixel main sensor, a 13 megapixel ultra wide, and then a 5 megapixel macro lens.
Yeah.
Which
that's a weird choice.
It really is. Just go with the standard telephoto. Come on.
Just put a
Asus.
telephoto on there, guys.
I mean, I get the macro lens is probably a lot cheaper, and that's what they're going for. They want to have the triple camera set up because you need to have that, I guess. And I don't. This, to me, if you're gonna put a macro camera in to save money, don't put a macro camera in and only do 2 cameras. Save some money.
Yeah.
I don't know. But that's the camera setup on the back. On the front is a single 12 megapixel selfie camera. It does have 2 stereo speakers on this because gaming phone, you got to have stereo sound in some sort.
Yeah. In particular, they're both front facing. It's not like the iPhone where one of them shoots out the side of the phone. Like they're both pointed at you.
Yeah.
Important.
And on with this phone, I mean, the display takes up most of the front of the phone, so they're pretty narrow speakers. They're not like how some of the older gaming phones were. Like, what was that phone you had, Wes, that had the 2 ginormous speakers on it?
That's the Razer.
The Razer,
yeah.
That's right. It's not quite like that. But it probably sounds better, in all honesty, because it's newer. Also, this does have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. So,
yeah,
with the ability to do high impedance audio, which is also nice. So, that's a benefit. The battery on this thing is a 6,000 milliamp hour battery with 65 watt fast charging wired. It does not have wireless charging because it's got a display on the back of the phone. You can't really wireless charge with that.
Yeah.
But
be impressive.
I mean, with 65 watt fast charging, that I believe is included in the box. I don't think you have to pay extra for that. Whereas, like with the OnePlus phones, you have to pay more to get that 65 watt charging. But this one, I believe, is included, which is nice. Yeah, it's a really cool phone.
It's a beast.
And the specs
only that
come
I was looking.
They're just really nice.
Did you look at the air trigger things on this?
I was going to get to that. Yes, it does have like touch sensitive sides on there that you can customize as well for certain games or for however you want it to work. So when you're holding it in landscape, as you should when you're gaming, especially this type of phone, it does have those trigger buttons on the top, and yeah,
Mhm.
it's and supposedly they are a lot better than what they were on the 5, because the 5 also had those. But from what
Yeah.
I've seen, these ones are just better overall.
What's crazy is like you can, like you were saying, customize it to certain things. Not just you can tap, you can do a slide, which will do something, a horizontal slide,
Yeah.
vertical slide, swiping, a dual partition. So if you click on one side of the button, it's something, and the other side of the button, then you have a shift. So if you push the screen and then tap it, it's a completely different thing.
Yep.
Oh my gosh!
Well, and so it also has the cool ROG thing. I think it's cool anyways, where they've got your standard USB-C port on the bottom and then a USB-C port on the side.
Yes,
And that's to attach accessories to the back of the phone, like cooling fans, controllers, yada, yada, yada. And all of that is, they've got the accessories, and it might even be compatible with the accessories that worked with the 5. I'm not sure. But
I don't know.
It's got all that stuff that has made the ROG phone cool in the past, updated with all of the new specs you expect out of a flagship phone of today. And then it's put together into a package that actually just feels like a big phone for the most part. Yes, it looks like a gaming phone, but otherwise, I think it's just going to feel like a nice phone to use day to day when you're not playing games. So it's just a good phone if you can get away with not having wireless charging and a telephoto lens, I guess.
Yeah, that is true. Now I am looking, and I do want to confirm there is an ROG Phone 6 just per phone, and the Pro. But I'm trying to find differences here, and I'm not really, other than
surely the 6 has less RAM.
The
Yeah.
6 does have let's see, 8. It starts at either 8 and goes to 16 gigs of RAM.
Okay.
And also less storage. You can get 128, 256, or 512 gigs of storage on that device. But other than that, it's very similar.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And the starting price on these phones, the 6 starts at $1,000. I'm seeing this in euros right now. I'm pretty sure this is coming to the US, but I'm seeing it 1,000 euros on the 6 and 1,200 euros on the 6 Pro. So it'll probably be similar to that in US dollars. But right now I'm seeing euros as the price. But yeah, I mean, this phone is absolutely ridiculous. And like I said, this is I think this is the first time that I could justify recommending a gaming phone to certain people. Because this phone has all the specs. It is a phenomenal phone, just as a phone in general. But now, with what these gaming companies are doing, with all the ways to stream games or to play games mobily in different ways, having a device like this is going to make that even better. So,
yep,
this is the first gaming phone that I think is actually a good idea. I mean, I'm not going to say the other ones were bad because they were decent phones, but I mean, this phone is legitimately has all the specs. I think in the past
it's a legit niche.
I mean, it's definitely a niche product. That's for sure.
Yeah.
They all have always been that. But this one, with all the specs that it has, it doesn't really compromise in much of anything. I will say the cameras aren't the best, but you're not buying this phone for the cameras.
I was going to say.
And they're not bad. They're just not going to be as good as your Samsungs or your Pixels or your iPhones, but most phones aren't at this point in life because that's where their focus is always going to be, is on the camera. Whereas the focus is not the camera. The focus is how it performs while you're playing games and just how it performs in general.
Yeah. Well, I know that Landon has watched the MKBHD video about this phone. And he made an interesting point in there comparing this thing and phones in general to cars. that I thought was it was an interesting way of looking at gaming phones. The suggestion being that in the past, if you wanted to buy a gaming phone, it was like wanting to buy a supercar. You had your Lamborghini Countach, but you also had to have a Toyota Corolla to drive around most of the time, because driving a Lamborghini Countach day to day is a good way to kill yourself. And not even just from like crashing into trees or something like that. The interior of the car wants to kill you. So, that was how it was in the past. You had your gaming phone. It was very fast. It was like super performant. It did the one thing really well. It was a weapon for that one thing, but everything else it sucked at. And you had to have a different phone to live with day to day, because, oh my gosh, you would want to kill yourself otherwise.
Right, yeah.
Especially if, unlike Wes, you don't spend all of your time on your phone playing games. It's if you use it for other things like social media or catching up with your family.
Or making a phone call.
Could you imagine that refresh rate by swiping up on your social media? Whew, smooth.
But his argument was that the ROG Phone 6, this feels like more like a modern 911 Turbo, in that on the track, it's a weapon. It will slay. It's fast. It's powerful. It is, by all accounts, a supercar, and I don't want to hear you pedantic freaks talking about, yes, it's rear-engined. It's not between the axles. That's not a requirement for a supercar. Anyways, but it's also a good daily driver. You can drive it every day and live with it every day, and and it's okay. It's not going to make you want to die. So I think that's like an interesting way to look at it. This is finally a gaming phone that you can live with every day as the type of person who isn't constantly streaming games to Twitch or something like that.
Yeah. Like this phone, it's not for me, because the only game that I play on my phone that would not take advantage of this kind of, is Minecraft.
Yeah, no.
And that's
you
not
might get ray tracing,
I mean, this would be the best Minecraft on phone experience, I'm sure, with 18 gigs of RAM. You bet your butt Minecraft can use that. You set the rendering distance up to like 400 chunks. I don't even care.
I was going to say, your draw distance, amazing.
Good thing I've got unlimited data, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you're playing, like, a lot of the newer games that these companies are coming out with that are made for mobile will be phenomenal on this device. Like, the new Diablo game will be great on this phone. And, I mean, I can't remember all the different... There's been a few games we've talked about in the past month or so that are coming for mobile specifically. That will be great on this phone. And like I said, if you're streaming games, from XCloud or whatever, those type of platforms, they're going to be great on this phone. This is definitely, if you're the type of person that wants to game mobily and play decent games, this is the phone to get.
Yeah.
Especially like if you're in the market for a new phone and you're also thinking about getting like, a Nintendo Switch or Steam Deck or something. I don't know if this fully replaces the Steam Deck.
Yeah, I don't.
But
no,
it's something to still consider to an extent. I mean, if you're going to be spending, if you don't want to spend, $1,500 to $2,000 between a phone and a Steam Deck or something,
I mean, it is worth noting that for the price of this phone, you could get a Steam Deck, a Switch, and like an iPhone SE. So if you have a lot of pockets, then that may be the way to go.
True.
Yeah. I want to meet the person that does that and ask them why.
That's going to be me, let's be honest.
You're going to buy all that stuff?
Well, I have a Switch already.
That's
and,
fair.
I do have a gaming PC that is probably in need of an upgrade, and it would be as easy as tossing one of these old mining GPUs that are on the market into it. But the Steam Deck, it's like just whew, I am.
I hear that's quite the Game Pass machine as well.
Oh man, it's the everything machine. It's the this is the rest of your life. This is the future of gaming PCs machine. And
what you need to do is you get that
for it,
and then rig it up to make phone calls and text messages and whatnot. And there you go. That's your phone.
I'll just switch to using Google Voice entirely or something like that.
There you go.
It just is bigger than your head when you're trying to make a phone call.
Well, yeah, but that's
Just connect to
fine.
Bluetooth.
There you go. Bluetooth earbuds are going to work. But that is the Asus ROG Phone 6 and Phone 6 Pro, both excellent devices. All right.
Yeah.
Now I have another phone to talk about. And unfortunately, for those of us in the US market, this phone is not going to be coming as far as I know. But I had to talk about it still because you'll understand when we get to it. It's the Xiaomi 12S Ultra. And this phone, if you look at it, it looks like a camera. Kind of. The camera bump, quote unquote bump on the back is basically just one giant circle, and it makes it look like a DSLR lens. Like the way it looks, like if you're looking at it, it looks like just one big camera lens. It actually still has 3 cameras and a flash in that giant circle. And what's funny is the main camera that is like the best one on this device is not the one in the center, oddly enough.
Oh.
I found that to be very strange. But, we'll talk about that.
It's basically that one Nokia, right? It had the giant camera on the back and...
Yes, but this camera is actually, really good.
Well, okay, yeah, but in appearance. It's also not yellow, which I actually feel like is maybe a lost opportunity.
True. I did love the neon yellow of that Nokia phone. I actually I worked with a guy that bought that phone. Great phone. Anyway, and it wasn't Wes, weirdly enough.
Right? You knew 2 people that bought Windows phones? That's so
I knew
weird.
3 people that bought Windows phones. And I
Oh
worked
my
with
gosh.
all of them. Anyways.
Wow.
Yeah, we're pretty cool.
Well, none of you have Windows phones anymore, so. Anyways, let's talk some specs on this device. The display is a 6.73-inch 1440 by 3200 pixel display. It's 120 hertz, so, not as fancy as that Asus phone, but it's not going to be. It's not gaming. It has the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 processor. It has 256 gigs of storage with 8 gigs of RAM, or with 12 gigs of RAM, or you could get 512 gigs of storage with 12 gigs of RAM as well. The cameras on this thing, which is the main feature on this device, it's got a 50.3 megapixel main camera, which is a 1-inch sensor. So, and this is not the first phone with a 1-inch sensor on it. There have been a couple other phones, but this is definitely the best camera that has the 1-inch sensor on it. It does have a 48 megapixel periscope telephoto lens as well, with 5x optical zoom, and then a 48 megapixel ultra wide sensor on it. And then on the front, it's got a 32 megapixel camera. The battery on this thing is a 4860 milliamp hour battery, so it's not huge, but it does have 67 watt fast charging available, and up to 50 watt wireless charging, which
right,
maybe don't do that.
We've had this conversation before.
Yeah,
like I feel like that's dangerous. They've probably done the R&D. It's probably not going to burst into flames. It's probably fine. But then again, the Samsung Note 7 happened, so I don't know, it might blow up.
Yeah. If you're going to be doing anything close to that wireless charging, buy a wireless charger with a fan to keep this thing cool.
In fact, I'm pretty sure that the wireless charger that they sell for that express purpose has a fan in it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But the main thing about this phone, though, is obviously going to be the camera. They've partnered with Leica on this to do some of their processing and whatnot. So it's pretty good. But the photos I've seen from this main sensor. So I will say right off the top, the other 2 sensors aren't bad, but they're not those parts aren't the things that you want to talk about when it comes to the rest of the camera on this phone. It's the main sensor that is the, thing that everyone is talking about. And like Caleb said, I do tend to watch MKBHD videos on a regular basis. In his review, he said that the main sensor on this phone is the best camera he's ever used on a phone. Now, it does have some drawbacks, but the bad photos on this main sensor are not bad at all. They're really good, but the really good photos on this sensor, holy crap. Like some of the ones that he showed in his video and some of the ones I've seen in other posts about this phone are just really, really good. So the sensor itself is made by Sony. It's a 1-inch IMX989 camera sensor is what the name of this is. This is the first phone to debut with this sensor. So Sony doesn't even have this phone or this camera on their phones yet. They do have a 1-inch sensor on a phone.
The latest Xperia, right?
Yes, but it is
a
the
1-inch
previous
sensor, but
model.
it's a different sensor. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the updated version. And it does do a decent job. The problem with that is it's on a Sony phone, and Sony's camera, their processing on their phones is notoriously bad. Despite them making the sensors for almost every phone you can buy.
Look, you can be good at the hardware, doesn't necessarily mean you're good at the software.
Well, I mean, it's true. And what's funny about that is Sony cameras are really good cameras.
Yeah, they just don't have those divisions talk to each other.
Nope, not at all.
I mean, it's worth noting that Sony makes the sensors in pretty much every good smartphone camera ever.
Yeah.
They've basically all been Sony sensors. The iPhones, the Samsungs, the Pixels, they're mostly Sony sensors. So Sony definitely has a track record here, and this is just the latest and greatest.
Yeah. So, I have to mention, though, with this phone, some of you need to look up pictures that have come out of this product. They're really good. I don't know how to really explain it. You just have to see them because they're just the light that this sensor brings in. It's awesome. And it's some of the photos I did see, the shallow depth of field on this thing is so good. So one photo I can talk about, or I'm going to talk about and kind of describe, is Marquez Brownlee again. He does a really good job when it comes to testing cameras and whatnot on phones. There's one photo he took of he's sitting on the ground. He's got his legs in front of him. He takes a picture of his feet and he's at a practice for his Ultimate Frisbee team because he's a pro Ultimate Frisbee player. So, he's taking a picture of his cleats, and, the detail of his cleats is phenomenal, for one. You can zoom into this thing, and it's really, really clean, really crisp photo. And then, immediately behind that, it starts to have that blur. And it looks like he took this with a full-on dedicated camera.
Yeah.
Just the detail that's there. I don't know. I can't really describe it in words. You got to look at it. The photos that I've seen from this phone are really, really good. Really good. I don't know if you guys have seen anything from this phone yet, but
I have seen that specific picture. He posted it on Twitter. I did see that. And it's very much the kind of thing where, we've spent all of this time starting with Apple on the iPhone 7 Plus, and then Google did it, and Samsung does it, and everybody does it now, where you have your fake bokeh mode, your portrait mode or whatever, where it's programmatically using AI or whatever to figure out what the edge of the subject is and blur out the background in a tasteful way. That technology has gotten progressively better as the years have gone by, and these days it's pretty close to looking like it was done in lens, but it's not quite there. what this phone is doing, because it has a much longer focal length than usual for a smartphone, thanks to that partnership with Leica as well in that, and then has this really, what is in comparison, a very large sensor. It can gather a lot more light from a lot more, depth than most smartphone cameras can, which means you do get, honest to goodness, actual pants, real bokeh in your photos if you're focusing on stuff in the right, distance. So that's pretty cool that we now have cameras that can do that in the space constraints of a smartphone. Dadgum. Good job, Sony and Leica and everybody who worked on this. And can we please have that in phones in the US now? Thank you.
Please. I mean, I would love to see this sensor on the next major flagships from Samsung, Google, and Apple. It's not going to happen.
No.
Not yet, anyways. But I would love to see it.
No, because with their processing, it would be even better.
You get Apple and Google's photo processing with this sensor, and I mean, you're going to have the best camera phone that you could possibly have.
And at that point, all of the people that have been claiming that their phone takes as good a picture as a DSLR might actually have a leg to stand on. They don't currently. Not at the moment. They don't.
Now, I will say the video on this phone isn't great. It's not bad by any means. And if you're using this main sensor, the video does come out pretty good. But one thing that he showcased is if you're zooming in while taking a video, it's very noticeable when it switches to a different camera. And there was one instance that he showed that he was zooming in on, he was watching an airplane go by and he zoomed in on it. And when it switched to the other lens, what he was seeing on the display still showed the plane going by. But then when he went back and watched the video, it slowly moved over a little bit, and then the plane was not in the video anymore.
Because out of frame, because the lenses are offset.
Because the lenses are offset a little bit. And Xiaomi hasn't put into their processing to keep things centered with each other yet. It's something that obviously is very doable because every other phone does it, including other Xiaomi phones. It's probably a day one upgrade when you buy this phone, or update when you get this phone, is hopefully going to be fixing this problem. But
I mean, it's all digital zoom anyways. There's no reason that they can't just programmatically kind of slide it a little bit to one side.
Exactly.
That's hilarious.
So, I mean, they've already got it set up when what you're looking at on the screen is right. It's just what's actually recorded is slightly different. And
so if this continues to be a problem, the secret will be to screen record your camera app and then do this. That's how you take video.
There it is.
Which is hilarious because that's actually how you captured video on the first iPhone.
It's true.
There were apps that just screen recorded the camera viewfinder. That was it.
Yep.
That's how you shop it. Anyways.
Now I will say, so the video on this is, you can do 8K at 24 frames per second, or 4K at 30 or 60, and that's with the main sensor. And like I said, it does look pretty good if you don't switch between the cameras, which again, I think is a small use case. Most people aren't going to be switching between sensors while in recording a video. I don't know if I've ever done it other than just to try it. I don't think I've ever done it on purpose on a video that I'm going to be saving, because generally I pick the lens that I want to use and then that I'm good to go. But as of now, that is an issue. But like I said, it could be updated and probably will be in the near future. But yeah, so I really wish this phone again was coming to the US, because I want to see this sensor particularly in the US, because the photos that come out of this camera are just really, really good. And also the price on this phone is 950 euros. So, I mean, this is pretty much flagship specs for other than maybe the battery size is not the best, but it's not small by any means. But other than that, you're getting a pretty high-end phone with a phenomenal camera for 950 euros. That's noticeably cheaper than any other flagship out there right now. And I like that. So, if you are not in the US and you are interested in purchasing this, it is now available. It was released on July 9th. And yeah, 950 euros. I don't know all the places it's available, just not in the US, unfortunately. So, yeah, that is the Xiaomi 12S Ultra.
Nice. Too bad we can't get it right.
Yeah. I mean, I probably wouldn't buy this phone, but I would definitely go and look at it because I really want to test out that camera. It's so cool. And like I said, I'm really hoping that now that this sensor is available, more companies will start to use it. I do think we'll see other companies using it and bringing phones to the US with it. It just won't be the main three at the moment, unfortunately. I think it'll be a while before especially Google or Apple start using that large of a sensor in their phones. I mean, Apple and Google, for that matter, used the same sensor for like 6 years. So
yeah,
it takes a bit for them to upgrade anyways. Okay. Now, another phone that I can't really give details on, but if you're curious, the Nothing Phone 1 is coming out this week. So keep that in mind if you are interested in that. We'll get all the details, hopefully, on the 12th of July, which is later this week. And also happening on the 12th of July, more importantly, is Amazon Prime Day. I believe is the 12th and 13th, if I remember correctly,
yes.
or is it the 11th? I don't know. It's actually been going on for the past couple of weeks when it comes to most Amazon products have been going on sale, and some other ones randomly thrown in there for fun. But the main event is later this week. As you are listening to this episode, it is probably happening. So keep that in mind. If you are interested, you probably already know and are looking out for products. But if you forgot, here's your reminder. Amazon Prime Day, go buy cheap crap. Namely a Fire tablet, because that is both literal when it comes to cheap and crap.
There you go. You heard it here. Cheap and crap. Amazon Prime.
Yay.
All right.
That should be their new slogan. Amazon Prime Day, cheap crap.
Cheap crap. I like it. All right. Let's go ahead and let's move on over to Caleb. Caleb, what you want to rant about today?
Oh, man. I got so many, actually. No, I don't really have anything to rant about.
I'll give it
Weird.
time. Give it time.
As a side note, I actually did see some pigs fly past earlier today. All right. Apple. They did some stuff this week, kind of, sort of. So the M2 MacBook Air, which is a laptop that we talked about because they announced at WWDC, that has an availability date now. So that will be available to purchase starting July 15th. Pre-orders are currently open. They started on the 8th, but it's worth noting that if you pre-order the thing online right now, you are not going to get it on the 15th. I'm sorry, listener, you have definitely missed that window. Actually, if you're willing to settle for space gray, you might be able to get it on the 15th, because that turns out to be by far the least popular color option. And I don't know why Apple is still offering it, quite frankly. Especially when they have midnight as an option. Like, just seriously get that. Anyways, so yes, July 15th, there will be some limited availability in stores. So if you want to be one of those weirdos that goes to an Apple store and waits for it to open to buy products, then you can do that. But don't be that person.
Why not? It's so fun.
No.
So old school.
No. I mean, it is pretty old school. But no. Anyways, speaking of things that Apple announced at WWDC that we are now getting a little bit more detail on, Stage Manager, which famously, I am a little bit kind of ambivalent toward as it relates to Mac OS, but on iPadOS, this thing is straight up a game changer. And in the latest beta of iPadOS, this thing actually got a new additional feature that is just chef's kiss, so beautiful. Stage Manager in the latest iPadOS build supports iPhone apps. So the iPhone-only apps will now appear as iPhone screen-sized windows in Stage Manager alongside other windows, which means you've always been able to go to the iPhone store on an iPad and download iPhone apps to your iPad. They just showed up as these stupid, portrait-only, hilariously undersized little apps because they were just emulating an iPhone screen. That's basically what it's doing now, but with the addition of Stage Manager, now it emulates an iPhone screen in a separate window. So you can put Instagram on your iPad and use it like it was meant to be used alongside, I don't know, whatever other apps you want to put with Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, something. I don't know. But point is, this is actually awesome and is just the biggest FU to Instagram. I love it.
Oh my gosh, that is actually really cool. Because just imagine you could have two iPhone apps next to each other and be using them at the same time.
Yep.
Because they're on that size of a display, that actually makes sense, and it would work great.
You could probably put like 3 of them. I don't know. I'm not sure what the limitation is on that, but yep. That's
so cool.
It's pretty awesome. And once again, I say Stage Manager is the killer feature for iPadOS this year. I will not be taking any questions. So yes, that's basically all that happened with Apple this week. There was a bunch of other unsubstantiated rumors about various things like, oh yes, the iPhones are entering production for launch this fall. Yeah, thanks. Really appreciate that, rumor mill. Good job. You guys are really carrying your weight around here. Anywho, in general tech news, however, let's talk about everyone's favorite rodent, Elon Musk. Turns out Elon Musk doesn't want to buy Twitter, actually. JK, lol.
Yeah. Ooh.
He came out this week and said, turns out, never mind, I'm not buying Twitter for $54 million or whatever it was going to be.
44.
Hilariously, Twitter still wants him to buy, and they're pretty confident that they can make him do it in court. They had him sign paperwork, and they put in place what is called a poison pill in the business world. I'm not sure on the details of how this works, legally speaking, but it is a contracting device that basically means that somebody who has agreed to purchase something is obligated to purchase that thing, and if they do not purchase that thing, they try to go back on the deal, then they are going to end up in court, and they're going to end up paying a bunch of money for the privilege of not buying it. So, Twitter is, they're like, yep, we're taking him to court. That's happening. So Elon Musk, if he doesn't want to buy Twitter, is going to have to pay a substantial amount of money to not. And I just love that. That's so, it just makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. I don't know why. But yeah, good times happening in the world of billionaire Elon Musk and his just general weirdness.
It's true.
So yeah, that's all my general tech news. That's my tech news. I have some gaming news. Should I just do that?
Let's go right into some gaming news.
Okay. Blizzard. Sad times at the door of the snowy people that are the blizzard. I don't know. That metaphor didn't really pan out for me.
No, it didn't. Anyway.
Blizzard has announced that there will be no more content developed for Heroes of the Storm. They're not killing the game, but they are basically just they're taking back support to the stage of we're just going to release stability patches and that sort of thing to keep it running, but we're not going to add new content to it. They have one additional, quote unquote, content patch that's going to be coming this next week that is going to make a dragon mount free for everybody in the community. So that's the thing, I guess. And you will still be able to go and pay money to buy things in the game if you want to, but they're not going to be adding anything else.
So that dragon mount, I believe, is like Grandmaster mount. Like
Yeah.
It's a very rare.
Yes.
So they're just, thanks for playing.
Yep. Basically, anybody who logs in from this point forward is going to be able to get that. And I think they're betting on it still being pretty rare after that. So, but yes, that's, if you are a regular Heroes of the Storm player, this is going to hit kind of hard, I think. But it's worth noting that in the year of our Lord 2022, you're still playing a MOBA regularly. I would ask you to reevaluate your life choices.
I don't know.
I may be being a little harsh. I'm a documented MOBA hater, but
I don't know. It does suck. I mean, I haven't played it recently, but I put a lot of time into that. I do remember when they first sent out like the alpha. I was in that round for that game, and I was so surprised. I was like, "Oh, this is cool." So like, I'm actually on. Like I played with a lot of streamers and stuff, and a lot of things we did. So it was a lot of fun messing with that, and it does suck but then I don't know. I guess I'm gonna have some hope with Microsoft buying it because that would be cool to see 3 different types of Space Marines have Raynor, Doom Guy, and Master Chief all in a MOBA. I think that would be kind of interesting.
Oh my gosh! Then they need to just Then they just need to go get the Warhammer 40K license, and then they can bring the actual Pants original Space Marines that all 3 of those other characters were stolen from, and bring them in too.
True. No, I don't know. Man. I think it'd be kind of cool. And then if they put it on console, why not put it on the Xbox? And then, I don't know, just turn it into the next MOBA Fortnite and just be like, here, have whatever skin. I mean, I don't know.
I would say,
I am Mr. Optimistic.
I would say that's unlikely, but what isn't unlikely, or what is equally unlikely, is that Blizzard actually will cut support for this game at any point in the future. As a person who was playing Diablo 2 natively on modern operating systems, right up until Blizzard is all like, hey, we're going to remaster that game because it's like, 20-something years old?
Yep.
Blizzard has a ridiculous amount of support for their old games.
By the way, even though they remastered it, you can play in Legacy mode.
It's true. Yeah.
So,
well, you don't even have to play in Legacy mode. Like, I can go with my original freaking Diablo 2 CD key right now and play on Battle.net servers. I don't get all of the creature comforts of like people who are playing the remastered one, and I can't play with the people that are playing remastered, but the original Diablo 2 servers are still running, and the client still freaking works. And when did Diablo, it was like 2001 or something like that. That game is over 20 years old.
Yep.
And you could still play it the same way as it was when it was launched. So yeah, Blizzard, when they say we're going to continue to release stability patches for Heroes of the Storm, what they mean is if you really want to, like if this is a formative portion of your gaming experience in your life, you're going to be able to continue playing this for the next 20 plus years. So that's what that means. It traditionally with Blizzard, and hopefully that's what it continues to mean. I guess things could change there, but that's it's somber news, but it isn't exactly the end. It's just the beginning of a different time where everybody who you get to play with on Heroes of the Storm now is there because they really want to be there. They're there because they love the game. They're there because they love the lore, the characters, or whatever. And honestly, your experience is probably going to be pretty good. So that's nice.
I think it'll be good. But like I said, I'm taking it one step further when Microsoft purchases it. Put it on console. Put it on your cloud gaming. Why not?
We'll see. We'll see.
I'm just saying, how cool would that be? All of a sudden, Doom Guy shows up on Heroes of the Storm.
Man. All right. PlayStation. It's a console. I'm not sure if you're aware, listener. There's 5 of them. It's the most popular console ever. So, God of War Ragnarok is an upcoming game for the PlayStation 4 and 5. They are releasing it on both platforms. That is the sequel to the very widely praised kind of soft reboot of the God of War franchise with the titular God of War a couple of years back. Not to be confused with the original God of War, which is not the same game, and they are in the same franchise, and I think technically the second God of War is a sequel to the first God of War, but it takes place after God of War 3 by like a couple decades. Anyways, very well received game. People liked it a lot. God of War Ragnarok is going to obviously get the same kind of rollout as any other high-profile PlayStation Studios game. This is how they operate, and if you have paid attention to anything like the Horizon franchise or the Last of Us franchise over the past few years, then you know that includes a lot of special edition boxes that you can purchase for this thing at launch, right? Typically, that includes some kind of like limited edition statue from the game. It's going to include like sweaters and stickers and like water bottles and various other branded swag. It comes in a really nice steel box or whatever. And then obviously a copy of the game. God of War Ragnarok special edition boxes are not actually going to have a disc in them.
Yes, I know.
So that's news. The
I
game
wish
copy.
you could have seen Landon's face. Non-gamer here, like, what?
I'm buying
They will have
box.
a copy of the game.
Oh, I believe that. It's just you're buying a physical product to get a digital game.
To get a digital code that you can redeem on the PlayStation Store. Yes.
Yeah. Good one, Sony.
So this is not actually the first time that they have done that. Horizon Forbidden West did the same thing. We kind of all thought that was a fluke, but apparently not. So this may just be Sony's thing now. So that's just something to be aware of. If you bought the physical disc version of the PS5 because you were thinking, yes, I'm going to continue to maintain my game library of discs, physical copies, because I believe in that. I believe in being able to carry that stuff forward and having all of those game files easily accessible. All of that stuff, good for you. You're smart. Don't buy the special editions of Sony's games going forward, no matter how much you want to, because apparently they're all just going to be digital at this point. But I mean, at least you have an HD Blu-ray player. Or a 4K Blu-ray player. That's what I meant in your console. So that's good. I mean, I don't. I have a PS4 Pro, and that doesn't have a 4K Blu-ray player. And freaking Sony, owners of the Blu-ray like standard, people who made the first Blu-ray players, freaking no, it's not 4K. Why isn't it 4K? Nobody knows. Freaking Xbox One S had a 4K Blu-ray. Anyways, there. See, I found something to rant about. Anywho,
There it is.
You dug deep and got it, buddy.
I got there. So God of War Ragnarok does also have an official release date. It is going to be currently scheduled. We're expecting it on November 9th of this year. So that's a high profile release to be looking forward to. Just be aware that the special edition boxes have a little lack of an Easter egg in them.
Oh, there's an Easter egg. You just can't find it.
Yeah, it's not there.
All right. And then my last thing is actually related to Doom. So Wes, if you have gaming news, you should go next.
Okay.
I'll finish off. I'm going to save this nugget for the end, listener.
All right. Well, since we were talking about Blizzard, let's go ahead and let's continue. So this past week, they announced that the UK is investigating Microsoft's acquisition now. So we're basically at the next stage of big people being like, is this good or bad? You know, so basically, hopefully I don't say this wrong, but the Competition and Markets Authority is going to consider whether it may be a good case for this transaction or not. So, cool. Everything seems to be going good. Everything that so far, no one's really said anything. Nothing big has happened. Microsoft was probably pretty smart to put everything up front on hey, if we buy this is here, this is what we're doing, this here, and here's our leadership. And so I think it's helped push things forward. So currently it does say that it will expect to provide a decision by September 1st. So,
that's actually not very long for a government regulatory body.
yeah, no. So that's what they were saying. So, but like I said, if something does come up, or that it could postpone stuff, but that's what they're thinking. So, I mean, almost there. So I think that's cool. I don't think they'd find anything because they've been up front with everything, and it seems okay. I mean,
Yeah.
with everything that's happened, even the, what is it, Ravensoft, and they're wanting to form a union at the studio. Like, well, Microsoft's like, yeah, okay. But I guess legally, Microsoft can't say anything about it, like what they'll do, like, because they can't, they just can't legally.
Yeah.
But I think that's good news. I think overall, all of us on this panel want it to happen, right? Like,
Yeah.
I know Landon's not much of a gamer, but with us talking, I think you understand like how cool and how nice this will be. So
I think it'll be a great thing if it happens.
I think so too. I think it'll be good all around. I think it'd be so cool. Just the cool stuff that could happen with all the IPs, I guess. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on. The next thing I wanted to talk about, we have mentioned this before on the podcast, but it has come to light. So the Xbox Cloud Gaming on smart TVs. So Samsung, with their new TVs of 2022, they, on their gaming hub, you can now stream Xbox Cloud Gaming games. You can connect any controller. You have a place that's Bluetooth, PlayStation, Xbox, all of the above. You can connect it to your TV, and you can go down and play Xbox games now.
So you can play Xbox games with the Joy-Cons?
I guess now that they include... Wait, are Joy-Cons Bluetooth? I don't think they are.
Yeah, they are. They can be connected to standard PCs and stuff like that. Like, you have to have like weird community-driven drivers because obviously Nintendo does not offer drivers for those things.
Okay, I didn't realize that they were Bluetooth, so I guess kind of yes, maybe.
But you shouldn't use a real controller.
You should have seen Caleb's face when I said that because that was great.
That would be different, but so they're pushing this forward. In there, they did say that they're starting with obviously the 2022 smart monitors first. They did mention they are going to try and see if they can go to previous televisions, previous iterations. They didn't really say how far back, but obviously there could be issues. Obviously, if your TV doesn't have Bluetooth, it's not going to work wirelessly. So, but I thought that was actually pretty cool. It's cool to see this happening. People that that like this cloud gaming stuff to just buy a TV and there you go, hook up a controller and you're on your way. Hopefully you have a high data cap, just with anything like that. So, but I thought it was pretty cool to mention that is there. So, and that's really all the gaming news that I have wanted to mention on there. So, unless Landon has one more thing for us,
no.
Then I'm going to turn the time over back to Caleb.
All right. We got this. Doom modders, listener, continue to be the best people on the internet.
I can't wait.
So, this past week, it came out, and I want to make sure that you understand, listener, this is not a thing that happened this past week. This is a thing that has been happening over the course of several years. But this past week, we were finally given a final product of a couple of modders, or a modding group out of, where was it? Brazil, I think it was, that have reverse engineered the Doom RPG to Windows. Now, you might not know what the Doom RPG is.
That was on a
you'd be forgiven
mobile
for that.
phone, wasn't it?
It was on mobile phones.
Okay,
good job,
yes.
Wes.
I vaguely remember this.
Look at that. He's a repository of knowledge about old games. So, this game was originally designed for the mid-noughts candy bar phones, so like pre-iPhone, like dumb phones, like the Nokias and the whatever. They had they had the color displays and they were whatever, but they had underpowered garbage tier processors in them, basically no onboard memory or compute power, and id Software decided to put Doom on because reasons. I don't know. It looks like just modding Doom to run on stupid devices has always been a thing, and it started with id. So yeah, it was, in order to do that on the limited hardware, they turned the game into an RPG. It's a turn-based RPG. That's what it is. And
I
as you move
remember
around
something.
inside of the rooms, it's less of like a run and gun shooter, but more of like you have to think tactically, because as you move, the enemies are gonna move, and the environment around you changes every time you take a turn, and you've got to think that stuff through. So yeah, that was the thing. It does technically, like, you can go download their mod right now that will allow you to run the original game just in Windows. Technically, it does require you to have original game files from an original phone that you bought the game on, right? Like, in order to meet legal reasons, they don't include any actual game files from the original game in their mod. It's just what you need in order to make it run. And so you theoretically have to have an original phone with the game on it. You have to be able to plug that into your computer because it's obviously still working, right?
Yeah,
right?
obviously.
And it has to have the game downloaded from wherever, like whatever crappy marketplace you bought it from back in the day. And then you have to be able to pull the files off of it. That's how you do it legally. I'm sure there are illegal ways to get a hold of these game files. That's 100% already an option somewhere on the internet. Just be careful what you click on. Anywhere you go on the internet, listener, please don't click on the big buttons that say download now. They are always not what you want to click on. That will not download what you want, ever, 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 ever. Unless what you want is a whack ton of viruses. I mean, if that's your jam, then cool. I guess you can do that. But yeah, anyways. So yeah, that's Doom modders. They're just, man, Doom modders. Nothing is ever dead to these people. Like, this is a game that was designed to run on hardware that was the literal textbook definition of a dead end platform.
It was.
Like, these things there was no upgrade path for any of the software on these phones. There was never intended to be one. And yet, these folks managed to get Doom RPG off of them and running on Windows to preserve that piece of gaming history. So that's pretty cool.
That is interesting. Like, I remember, I want to say the way I know about that was a YouTube video. I might have just gone down like a Doom rabbit hole, and someone was like, by the way, there was a Doom here or something.
In all of the remasters, all of the updates, all of the re-releases that id Software has done of various many, many Doom games over the years, this one has never been touched. And the main reason for that is apparently EA owns part of the license for it because of the distribution platform that was used. EA apparently had something to do with that. And so, just for legal reasons, they were never going to be able to get to do anything with this game, and it was just going to die. And like, people were going to remember it like, oh, wasn't that a thing? But like, nobody has it anymore. But thanks to a couple of freaking awesome Doom modders, we got it. We can keep it. It's ours still. That's amazing. It's just amazing.
Is cool.
I love it.
Like, I'll probably never play it. Well, let's be
honest. Oh yeah,
probably not.
Yeah,
but
same.
That is.
But
so
I love
cool.
that it exists. It's just so heartwarming to know that these games will continue to exist because of the efforts of super awesome people like that.
That's cool. I like that. You know what, Doom modders, keep being you.
Oh yeah,
just
please.
Keep being you.
The world needs more of you.
True. All right. I think we're at the end of this episode now that we finished off with some Doom news. So, all right, dear listener. So, if you want to get a hold of us, if you want us to talk about anything or have any questions, you can get a hold of us on our social media platforms, as well as our website at callingallplatforms.com. If you want to check out any videos, you can go to our YouTube channel, Calling All Platforms Gaming or Calling All Platforms Tech. Take a look at some of them videos. All right, dear listener, have a good week.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Calling All Platforms is a production of Supporter Sound Studios. To learn more about how you can support the podcast, go to www.patreon.com/callingallplatforms.